Back again, Tony D'Angelo here on Connecticut Morning, and I'm joined by my good pal. We have a lot of good pals in today, and it's just quite an event for this November 5th show. Bobby Fiore, the Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate. Thanks for coming. Thanks for making the trip. You know, I'm just I'm really overwhelmed by everybody that comes.
You've got a good group coming in here. It's really good.
You know, and it's like we're always told that one is known by the company one keeps. That has never held true for me, because why they want to hang with me, I do not know. But anyway, you have told me this is an important month.
Yes. Many facets of November. Excuse me. Number one, November is Epilepsy Awareness Month.
Right.
Our organization, Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate, is working with the Red Cross. We're going to have a blood drive. It's going to take place at St. Agnes Church. That's in Milford on 400, Merwin Avenue. It'll be from 1:30 to 6:30. So we're looking for a good turnout. And the reason we're doing this, there's always a need for blood. But not everyone, whether you have epilepsy or any other medical condition, can do so. So we encourage people all the time to donate blood. And I'm sure you know that in our lifetime, the only time that I can think of is the morning of 9/11, when people asked no more blood donation.
Right.
You know, that's about it. The blood is needed there. And the other thing I'd like to bring up is the fact that with everything going on in November, it was brought up earlier in November that a group of people got together and we interact with another hospital and another epilepsy organization. The epilepsy organization is the Anita Kaufman Foundation. They're independent, they're in New Jersey. There's also a hospital, and I'm sure you've heard the name of the hospital too, in New York, and it's the Columbia Epilepsy Center. And I was invited to be there, and it's a great group of people, and we just joined. There was a true bond there. So now within the tri-state area, we have that hospital, Anita Kaufman Foundation, ourselves, and we work together. Naturally, we do work with other hospitals right here in Connecticut, like Yale, Hartford Hospital, Yukon Hospital, things like that. But why not help somebody out of state, or if they happen to be looking for a place out of state? You know, we interact with each other.
Well, you know, back to blood donations. Now, I'm not qualified to speak here, but more than one person has told me that they have found there is a medicinal benefit in giving blood to the donor, because the whole thing of like bloodletting in the Middle Ages, which is considered to be totally barbaric, but the whole idea was get the impurities out. And more than one person has said, I feel better after I've given blood.
Well, what it is, you do feel better, and what I found unique about it is when I was younger, I always wanted to donate blood, but it was black and white. You have epilepsy, end of subject.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. But now, what they do is we have that number on our website under the blood donations page. There's a number that you call, and you explain what you have, no matter what medical condition, anything whatsoever. In my case with epilepsy, when I started, I was already seizure-free for over 3.5 years, and the medications that I take do not interfere with that. Some people can't do that. And again, that's why I emphasize, no matter what the medical condition is, if you're able to donate blood, please do.
Yeah, and it's, believe me, because you can't manufacture it.
No, by no means.
And that's and that's good. So beyond good. So you also you're also involved with a support group as well, from what I understand.
Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate started its own support group.
Right.
It's up at Bristol Hospital. Everybody meets on the first Monday of every month from 7 to 8:30. Excuse me. But it's amazing. Support groups that might list at 7 to 8:30. I've been at one where it's 11:30 at night. But when you're interacting with people once a month and they need the help, you're not looking at the clock. You definitely don't look at the clock. You just want to help them. And that's what it's all for.
Now, what is the turnout like as far as these groups? I mean, everybody wants to do everything in numbers, and as a very good friend told me years ago, it's not a case of numbers. It's a case of one person who can reach 1,000 others that you're not seeing. And what have you seen, though, as far as your positive results and turnout, and somebody say, "Hey, Bob, thanks for that information. You don't know what it did for me."
Well, at the Milford Support Group, before I went independent, I was able to put a feature story in New Haven Register. That was on a Sunday. That Monday, people are coming in left and right. I think there was 24 or 26 people in the room, and the majority came in holding the paper up, and that's how they learned about it. And as time went by, it would taper off a bit. And the same with our support group. No, there's not a crowd, going outside of the door, but it's a small amount, and that's fine. They'll grow down the road. But there's more one-on-one that way.
Now, how many of the people coming to the support group are perhaps close relatives and friends of those who are challenged and afflicted with epilepsy as opposed to the people themselves?
Well, the people that run it, and the woman who runs it, her husband, and one of the kids has epilepsy.
Mhm.
The other people that come in, ironically, it's all women. They come in and they need help from with the very different facets of epilepsy, which is fine. It's not a black and white thing. No matter what type of epilepsy you have, that's what we're there for.
And it's like every time I talk to you, and full disclosure, my father was afflicted, and it was
Right.
this thing going back then, the 40s, the 50s. It was like there's this deep, dark, horrible secret.
Yeah.
We can't let this get out, to the point where, as I've told you, and we get new people all the time, where I was going to a pharmacy in Norwalk to get his prescription because no one in Stanford is supposed to know about this. And it's not only there, none of us are perfect. We've all got something we're dealing with some kind of way. And it's not to trivialize something or make something bigger than it needs to be, but all of the people way back when who just had this burden of not only is this thing that we know very little to nothing about it, we can't let this secret, and where you and I, introduced by our mutual friend Bob Lazari, and I thought,
Bob's great.
Yeah, he's in more ways than one. You've taken this and said, hey, we're gonna, we're out of the darkness here. We're causing some light to come and some help to come, and I'm continually amazed at the work. And I'm just so grateful, as one's like my mother saying, it's like you can't, whatever, and it's just, and you look back and you say how ignorant, how terrible, how stupid, but it was a creature of the time.
Right.
It was a creation of the time, I should say.
And ironically, the first known description of epilepsy goes back to 350 BC, and it's only about the last 20-25 years that you can actually, as the catchphrase goes, talk about it. Living with epilepsy, one of the things that affects you, believe it or not, as young as you might be, is your memory.
Mhm.
And I have no problem asking you to please take that piece of paper and give me the full name of the epilepsy center that's in New York. I have no, if you mind giving me.
Oh, no, certainly.
Sure.
Yeah, and this would be the Columbia Comprehensive Epilepsy Center at New York Presbyterian Hospital.
Right, they're right off
New York City.
167th Street.
Right.
But they're great. And when we were at that function, originally I'd gone up just to hear the people speak, the doctors, etc. But my buddy Marianne, who was another paisan, had said, come on, Bobby. I says, can I stay with you and speak to people? She says, of course. So one by one people are coming over. We start to interact. And I kept telling people, I have my own organization, but they will focus on anything you need. So ironically, people from Connecticut came up. So she, being quiet like you and me, she goes, hold on a second. My friend Bobby's here. And she literally pushed him over, and we did a lot of one-on-one. The two that come to mind, woman was from Long Island, and she really needed that help. So I said, come on, let's go sit over there. And we sat down, and at the end of the conversation, she says, I want you to know the effect that you had on me is so amazing. And I'm looking at her, huh? She says, no, really. She says, that you took the time to sit down with me and explain everything. She says, it means so much. I said, but thank you. I said, but that's what we do. And the other one was a young lady from Connecticut, and I asked her a series of questions,
Mhm.
the basic ones. I said,
Right.
do you get enough sleep? She says, no. I said, do you eat 3 meals? No. I says, do you take your medications on time? She says, no. The next question, do you see a doctor on a regular basis? No. I said, you wear a medical bracelet? She says, no. I says, you see, this is almost like a whole game show. I said, well, usually they say, you keep getting no's, then let's flip the cards over. I said, the word I'm looking for is yes, and I haven't heard yes once. I said, let me explain what you should do. And we explain the entire thing about you should see your doctor on a regular basis, let her interact with your neurologist, make sure you take the medication, sleep is paramount. And I noticed she had a little necklace on. It was very, very small. So I explained to her, I said, us guys, we're not really about, what fashion we have, whatever. My medical bracelet is loud, and I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but for a young person like you, I says, Medical Alert makes various ones. I said, and I think the one you would like, it's really small, it's a wristband. I said, but it still has this on here, but it's very small. I said, what do you think of that? Cool. I says, fine. I says, so if you cannot afford it, I says, that's how we come in and help. So when I spoke to the mom, she says, don't worry, we can afford it. So we set them up with everything.
Good.
And there was 2 other people there. So ironically, I get home, and already the first of 4 people we interacted with said, I've already signed up for Medical Alert, but what I found confusing, I kept mentioning your name, and they didn't know who it was. They said, that's okay, because you're calling the basic number. We interact with corporate. So I forwarded that to corporate, they really got a kick out of it. So they're like, okay. You know, again, we're
There's
not...
Fiore making trouble again.
You know, we're not looking for the pat on, exactly. Well, we're not looking for the pat on the back. It's just the fact that you do that one-on-one with these people, and it helps them.
And, you know, and I want to make this clear. You started this organization, being the Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate. We've told the story before of
Right.
You didn't like entirely what you saw, and out of frustration, your wife said to you one day, why don't you start your own organization?
Exactly.
And to you, this was a punch ticket to
Yeah.
all the stuff you've done then.
Sure.
Your funding just comes from the good-hearted souls.
Right.
Who
That,
will,
yeah, that and the fact that we only have one fundraiser. And people say, why just one fundraiser? And we always explain that when you do fundraising, it's for a particular purpose. As I mentioned earlier this year, people need help with medication, transportation, but we don't, to put it bluntly, we don't want to be a turnoff. Because if you're out there speaking and then the next thing out of your mouth is like, we need a donation. No, we don't want to do that. And you know, we watch what we bring in and how we spend. Someone had mentioned is, where's your office? It's in a spare bedroom. Like, spare bedroom. I said, come on, you don't need all this, these fancy things. And it's proof of that because November, we're in our 5th year. So we must be doing something right.
well, and you certainly are, and I mean, it's that, you know, you've really become the face for the cause in this state. And, you know, if not for you, I mean, I know me, myself, and I'll walk in here, and I've always believed, yeah, you give something to, you know, think about all the people that don't have what you have. You know, even if you don't have it, don't go to lunch one day, give something. So, and Bob, there'll be a stack of mailings. I mean, like IHOP on Summer Street. It'll just be, you know,
Right.
give, and you know something? I'm not. Okay, I may be a partial nincompoop, but I'm not a total nincompoop.
Yeah.
Color printing costs money, offset costs money. You know, this is thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. I got something in the other day from a charity, I won't mention their name. It was an express mailing, they're sending me a calculator. I'm thinking to myself, you know, like, I don't know if I want to donate anymore because it's not showing me that you're using your dollars efficiently for the cause of what it is, helping those. You could say, oh yeah, this is program driven and it stays within, you know, we're spending this within our program, but yet it starts to get a little bit mind numbing because we just got so much, and I'll tell you that the approach of simplicity to me is just so refreshing.
Thank you. And that's how we look at it too. And the irony is that, you know, a lot of things are run by a computer. So in the past year, our address is in there and we're getting everything to purchase a new car. There's a trip down in Florida, a cruise over here. I'm like, that has nothing to do with us, you know, but, you know, everything's programmed via the computer.
I still haven't figured that out, you know, maybe 25, 26 years dealing with Section 501c3, that, you know, a gift is supposed to be without expectation to the donor. You give, but yet you're driving along and somebody says that they could give you a trip or a vacation for a car. To me, this is like suspending gravity. I just don't get it.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense. And I'm being honest with you, the fact that, sure, if people would love to donate to our organization, we have no problem with that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's not, our main goal is not looking for donations, We definitely accept donations, and they're put to good, you know, they're used for good reasons to help people.
And I understand you've had a recent health issue. You look like you've recovered tremendously. You look
Yeah.
better than anyone has a right to feel. At least, well, compared to me, you're going to look great. But all I'm really saying is, thank God you've really recovered. And
It had nothing to do with epilepsy. It's just that there's one of the tests that I was taking for how many years, and the doctor saw that the numbers were virtually perfect. So he figures after 7 years, if the numbers are that good, don't take it anymore. One of those levels had dropped, and he says, okay, my mistake. So we made an adjustment to diet, weight loss, and then one medication, and if all works out within less than a year, it'll be gone, and we're back, back to the norm again.
Well,
Losing the weight, I had no problem, let's face it. Nothing wrong with taking the weight off.
No, that's for sure, and I think we all carry a little bit more than we should. But then we're in such a food culture today, which of course is another subject for another show. One of our graduate interns came back last night, and he's going to cooking college. And this whole science of food, I'm just sitting there and saying, you and me, it was like Al's Doghouse was a treat, and it's just become this almost like art form. I'm like, holy cow, But and that's part of the problem. We carry too much weight.
Oh, yeah. But if we can go back again to the
Sure.
this bond between the hospital,
Mhm.
the Peter Kaufman Foundation, and ours, I just think it's great that all of us can interact, and we have no problem. Not only with the hospital in Manhattan, there's 2 others in New York. One is in Long Island. There's actually a hospital in Texas. We all work together, and that's great because everything is not in your state.
No, for sure. And it's the old, in a multitude of counsel, there's always safety.
Yeah,
And that's true.
absolutely. But I just thought it was great that I know Anne-Marie Bazine, who used to work for another NPO, and they had to downsize, last one hired, first one let go. But this woman is so well versed, and what she does is so good. She landed a job within a week, and in this day and age,
Oh, boy.
land a job in a week, and you know what you're doing.
It's like winning the lottery,
Yeah.
for sure.
So this 5+ year friendship, it really became even closer and more effective. So now we interact with them. So when you get a mailing, most of the mailings will have us mentioned too, which is great, and it works both ways. But I was very, very impressed with the hospital, how they focus on so many facets of epilepsy, and no matter who was there, spoke to 2 of the doctors. The nurses were just fabulous, and I had to compliment them because I said, to me, the nurses accomplish more than the doctors do, because they know what that one-on-one is like with people.
Yeah.
A quick case in point, I had to go for testing to see if I was a candidate for surgery, but they want to witness you having a seizure. So they lowered the medications, and one of the medications they wanted to lower was Afinibar. And she says, no. She says, don't touch that, because the way it affects you, once you lower it or take it away, if you have to take it back, it's not going to affect you in a positive way. So she said, take the other 2 medications, have them lower that. And sure enough, it was true.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, that's what, to me, the nurses don't get enough credit, and they should. But we covered every facet of it, even the people after pregnancy. They have to be in there for a couple of days. It's not like an express or a car wash. You're in, you're done, and you go home. Whether you have epilepsy or not. But all this is focused on, and that entire group of people were great. But yes, my buddies at the Peter Kaufman Foundation, they know so much, they help so many, and it's great to be helping them.
Listen, it's fantastic. In our closing minutes, and it's amazing, whenever I do this, I sit and say, what are we going to talk about for 30 minutes? And we always run out of time.
Yeah.
The Affordable Care Act, the whole landscape. No one has really defined it. We've got non-working websites, we've got coverages being dropped, we've got people getting, my young associate here got a cancellation notice, and he's trying to shop in the marketplace, he can't get on the website. There are people who need medications that can't get them. The presidential administration and the Secretary of Health and Human Services says, work it out, it'll be fine, give it a month, there's really no panic. But then you have people up in arms, and I'm not going to ask you to predict where this all goes. I mean, it's disconcerting, but I just see your role just increasing beyond ways that you've never imagined.
It has. And as far as the Affordable Care Act, what I've been telling people, and as I told you earlier, you saw the amount of money it cost to put that together. And people asked, what did you think? I said, I think it's ridiculous. All they had to do was look for a 12-year-old kid, to make a master page and then edit it for every state. As far as everything else, where you submit your payments and things like that, get a 14-year-old. I said, that would cost maybe $1 million tops. And now the people that signed up would actually have something. That's about as nice as I could put it, but that's how it is, and unfortunately, the money wasted on this, people not getting what they wanted to get, down the road, and God knows how long that road is, it will actually come to fruition. But people, when they're sick and need health care, they can't wait. They can't wait.
Well, I know my wife Kathleen, she works for a hospital, and pretty much they took whatever they had in place and they tossed it out, and they said, okay, these are your choices, one from column A, one from column B. They really wanted to push as many people as they can into the HSA,
Right.
the health savings account. In other words, put money in there, you know, shop, consumer driven, you know, CDHP. So this way at least you can say, okay, well, if that's not at the right price, I can go over here. You've got some economic freedom. And you think this is probably a step in the right direction. The only problem is it's like when you're ill and when you're hurting and when you really need something, you're not thinking about, you know, where can I save $50? You've got to get
Right.
this thing taken care of.
And that was the other thing too, that we've heard that people had to put their credit card in first. And I'm like, you know, to me, that's like when you go shopping. You don't pay for the card and wait about a month or two and then go pick it up. You go in, you make your payment,
Mhm.
and drive the car away. Now,
Well-
the whole thing just,
And my thought this morning is I'm just thinking, man, your role is just going to be, I mean, I could see you doing advocacy for people needing other things just because, you know, you hang around the league long enough, you know, what the pitchers are throwing. And people will come to you and say, hey, Bob, how do I get around this thing? And, you know, it's like, and if you weren't there, it's, I shudder to think about it, frankly.
well, that's very nice that you said that. Again, we're not the only resource, but yes, ever since this has happened, there's more more people we have to
Mhm.
help, and this is something else we have to focus on. It's just like the blood drive. But to me, it was something that with the blood drive for all those years that I couldn't, because what they told me, if going back to when I started, I should have been able to donate over 27 gallons. So that's a far cry I would have donated from the last 2.5 years. But as far as the Affordable Care Act or any type of coverage, we know it's needed. And for other insurances, all of a sudden to drop people or keep raising their rates, that's not the way to go.
And that's the concern that we all have, is what kind of soup are we in. Believe it or not, we just about run out of time. Where can our friends, our fans, our viewers, our listeners, our Bob Fiore fans get a hold of Bob Fiore and partake of his excellent counsel?
Well, again, thank you. It's simple to do so. Go to the website at ct-ea.org. Again, that's ct-ea.org. Or just Google Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate. You know, we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're so
And
easy
Connecticut
to find.
Morning, you're a frequent contributor here. And you know, if you're seeing things, and I will say this, I make this promise to all you guys, our thousands upon thousands of viewers. If you're seeing something, it's like, hey Tony, I got to get in and talk about this. This is something, you know, where you want to make a segment or a clip or something where you want playing somewhere. This is Bob Fiore, you know, coming and saying, hey, we really got to keep an eye on this thing, or this is something that's terrible. Let me know. I mean, you know where I am, and it's,
absolutely.
you know, that I think is the least I can do for just all the great counsel you provided us and all the time you've been here.
Oh, we really appreciate that. Sounds like a good idea. And I'll definitely try to take you up on that.
Well, please do, and many, many, many more times.
Thanks.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Bob Fiore, the Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate. We will be back, and Mark, I'm going to call an audible here because we've got Dan and Ron who have arrived here in the studio. We're just going to get into our segments, I think, because these guys have got such a wealth of information. Bob's going to stay with us. You hear some laughter in the background, you know where it's coming from. Tony D'Angelo, Bob Fiore, soon to be joined by Ron Marcus and Dan Berger, the Connecticut Historical Society. Right back after this.